Okay, so let's talk about some of the other shapes. Now what I've got here is I've got some coils rolled out so that we can show you how to do those in coils. What I like to do, especially if I'm gonna do just the candy cane shape, okay, looks like that. You'll notice that I do a double coil. One coil tends to be a little bit on the thin side. If you make a really thick coil, then it's not that great either, at least in my opinion. So what I usually will do is I will just take a coil and I will bend it over to about the length that I think I need, maybe a little bit longer than it needs to be. All right, and then cut it to the size that I want, just like that. And then what I will go ahead and do is squeeze that together nice and firm, and then I'll take my popsicle stick and I'm gonna go ahead and smooth this together so that one side of this is perfectly smooth on the inside. This is the side that my hand is going to go on, or my fingers are going to be grabbing onto. So therefore it's going to make it nice and clean and smooth. This also doubles up the thickness of my coil. What that does is that gives me a little bit more strength. But for the most part, we're looking for comfort in the user's hand. In other words, we want to make sure that whoever's going to be picking this up, it's going to be nice and comfortable in their hand. And I think a little bit wider project, a little wider handle is going to definitely help with that comfort level. So just like we did when we made our coil bases, we smooth the inside of this nice and clean. Okay, maybe take a little bit of water, clean that up, make sure the edges, we don't have any clay or something like that. I could even use a sponge. Okay, so that now the inside of that is perfectly smooth. Okay, but the outside, I've still got that curved design. Okay, and then we're just gonna take and form that into that candy cane shape. I like using the wooden dowel like that just to give it a little bit of a curve. Again, do this gradually. Don't just bend it because it can break fairly easily. So we want to make sure that we get that nice and smooth. Make sure it's nice and straight so we don't have a curved handle. That would be bad. Okay, and I go a little bit beyond what the candy cane shape is. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so you notice that this is curved a little bit further because when I take this off of here and then I start to figure out how I'm going to do it, it is going to, and I did it the wrong way. Oops. So we're going to go ahead and flatten that out. We're going to do it on the other side. This is just going to give it a little bit more curve, which is fine. Okay, because we want to do it on the side where the flat pieces are. Okay. See, things happen. You make mistakes. You just roll with it. Okay, so that way the bottom of it is going to be this little U shape here, and that's going to be a little bit cleaner when we attach it. For this one, what I'm going to do is, this is where it's going to be attached to the clay itself, or to the cylinder of my mug. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth this part out just a little bit, and that's going to give me a better chance of a solid connection to my mug, and that will help me make sure that I've got that there. The other problem I have is that because I have this little seam here, if that's on the inside here, that could very easily create a air pocket, which would then cause it to break, which we don't want. Okay, so just like that. So that part's smooth. This part down here where we're going to attach it is smooth, and we're going to go ahead and score, slip, and smooth that on. Okay, so we go ahead and scratch this. We're going to go ahead and scratch this part here, and then we can kind of mock up where it's going to go. Again, try not to make the handle too big. We don't want that to stick out super far, okay? And this is the same cylinder, so I've still got my handle on there from the previous one, okay? But you can kind of see how that's going to go on there just like that, okay? So then we'll smooth that on the inside just like we did on the inside edge there, so that that transition on the inside is nice and clean. The nice thing about using using coils to create those shapes is that it's already rounded, okay? So it's gonna be a nice comfortable fit. Whereas my slab, okay, for the S-curve shape that I've got here, I'm gonna need to smooth that out once this firms up and gets a little bit drier. So that's something to kind of consider. You could also do it while it's wet, just maybe kind of go over it with a sponge before you attach it. That's a very good possibility. You know, it just kind of depends on what you wanna do. So there's my candy cane, okay? The other thing that I've got on my example piece here is this braided design. I did the S-curve with it, but I'm going to show you how to do the braided design. Not that difficult if you've ever braided hair, okay? So I've got my coil here, and what I'll usually do is grab it in the middle, okay? So that I have, so just like that, you can see that it's in the middle. It's about even there. Set that down, and then I'll go ahead and take my other piece, place that there. It's a little bit longer than the other ones, and that's not a big deal. Okay, so for those of you that don't know how to braid, you have 3 pieces that are all attached in one central point. I just start on one side, and I'm going to move that over the top of the center one. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat that and go to the opposite side and move that over the top of the center one as again. Okay, and then you just repeat this process over and over. Move the outer one over the center one and repeat. And you just alternate sides in which you do this. Okay, so like that, like that, like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this all the way down until the very end, until I run out of clay, until my coils are done. And once that happens, then I'll have my braided design all the way pretty much completed. Okay, and then just going to kind of make it so that it cleans off. All right, and then I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut that so it's nice and clean, just like so. All right, so now I've got this braided design, which is really cool looking. I like it. Okay, but the problem is and I don't know if you can see that, you can see how there's these holes in it. You can see my shirt through it. You can see the red through it. We want to get rid of that because right now these are 3 individual coils and they're not connected. So just like we did with our coil base and just like we did with the double coil that we have here, we're going to smooth what will become the inside of our project, okay, or of our handle for that matter. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give this a little bit of a roll. That flattens things out. I got a little bit of a crack here. Okay, I can go ahead and smooth that out. That happened because the clay was a little bit on the dry side as I was bending it a little bit much there. So we're gonna go ahead and try and fix that up. I like this side the best, so I'm gonna go ahead and smooth this. That's also where that side, that area is. And again, just drag the clay over the top. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just smear these pieces together, all those coils together. Now this top part here where I've got these all connected, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because I don't really like it. Very simply, just cut it off, okay. Again, another wonderful thing about clay is that if you don't like something, just get rid of it, cut it off of there, okay. But now what I've got is I've got all these things connected. All right, and now this is one solid piece of clay. I'm gonna go ahead and do this a couple more times. Again, the more times that you smooth this in the backside, the cleaner your project's gonna be, and also the better connected and the more stable and strong it's going to be in the end. Okay, pretty much there, okay? So I still have the braided design on one side, but it's smooth on the other. I've got some chunks here, okay? I'm just gonna go ahead and smooth that over with sponge. Make sure it's got a little bit of water on it, that usually helps. Okay, like so. But again, I'll have a nice smooth interior surface. So the inside of my handle is gonna be nice and smooth, okay? But I'll have that nice braided design on the outside. I can even give it a little bit of a roll, that might help smooth that out. Okay, and so then I've got that there. Now, we did the S-curve, we did the candy cane, okay? Now, the other one that we have on here is the C shape, okay? That's this one over here, or a D shape, whichever you want to call it, okay? And that, again, I like to use this to help kind of round things out. That's going to give you a nice, perfect, rounded curvature that I can't necessarily make on my own, okay? And obviously, I'm going to have way too much because my handle does not need to be that tall, okay, in comparison to my mug. It's taller than my mug right now. So I don't know if you guys can see that. So if I were to put that there, okay, it's almost as big as my handle, or my handle is as big as my mug. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut this down to a little bit smaller. okay? And again, a regular handle, a regular coffee mug, all right, usually only needs about 2 to 3 fingers on the inside of the handle, okay? If you have more than that, then you better have a pretty big mug because it's gonna look disproportional. We wanna make sure the proportions are correct, okay? So 3 fingers on the inside here, that's gonna be good. I could probably get all 4 in there if I really wanted to, but this is a pretty hefty mug as far as the size goes, okay? Make sure we got a nice straight flat edge. Okay. Give this a couple of taps just so that's nice and flat that way, okay? And then I would go ahead and score, slip, and smooth my handle onto the outside of my mug, just like that. So you can see that, okay? So there's my braided design, okay? And then score, slip, and smooth that on. Don't forget to use that little trick that we used when we made the pumpkins, where you attached a coil around the outside after you smoothed that all around. That'll help you in the end, okay? All right, let's take a break, and I'll get you guys the next one in the next video.